You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where no subject is too taboo to discuss. Now, please welcome your hosts, Andy Barker and Duello.
Andy, what's going on?
Oh, I'm just looking forward to continuing some of the conversations we were having pre-show.
Man, we were having some great conversations, but now that we're live, I have to bring up tonight. Tonight we're doing our podcast, under duress because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has opened. And we should be there. But tell me though, as a kid from the 70s, did you like those? I loved those movies as a kid.
Yes and no. I mean, I did like it, but I didn't like it to the point where, I watched them over and over and over again. But I will say,
not a fanatic.
Right. I will say that I have watched some of the newer versions, and although the effects are better, I don't know. There's something to say about Charlton Heston and you damn dirty ape.
Yeah. Well, nobody knew at the end, if you're watching that for the first time, well, here's what I should say. When that movie hit the theater, nobody knew he was going to see the Statue of Liberty at the end.
Right.
Nobody knew that.
Right.
So you watch this whole movie believing one thing. And then, right at the end, I mean, completely ripped the rug out from the audience. But of course, I was born in 77, right? So that movie, I think, was 68, was the first installment.
Somewhere around in there.
Yeah, and I think, sort of like James Bond and under Pierce Brosnan and Star Trek for a while, every 2 years, you were getting one or the other. Yeah, it was great.
Speaking of Star Trek, I can't help the only one I remember was the one with Ricardo Montalban in it.
Oh yeah, the Wrath
of Khan. Because as much as I hate to admit this, I was a huge Fantasy Island fan.
Oh yeah, that was a great show.
And I just could not unsee, what was his name, Mr. Rourke on the show, I think it was. All I could see was him with a blonde fucking long hair wig, I couldn't get into it because of that. And it's funny because that's the only one I really remember.
Well, you remember what Star Trek fans deem to be one of the best movies of the franchise,
which is crazy to me. But I'm not a big sci-fi guy either.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of there's a lot of debate, but a lot of people like that episode because of the tie-in. The original movie was a new was the old cast, trying to sort of introduce a new takeover cast. Franchises, make and lose money, have plans and scrap plans. Sure. So you saw them trying to introduce Deckard and like some of these other people. But it was just it was a standalone movie, and when they saw the success of the standalone movie, they were like, ooh, we could follow it up with the Wrath of Khan, because Khan was an episode from the original series.
Yeah.
Right.
I just lost my train of thought. There was a movie series that I was going to ask you about, that if you ever got into it or not. I completely lost it.
I don't know, but recently, somebody posted pictures of their, they were like, hey, just found this gem, and it was the Star Trek box set, and they were like, hey, I don't remember 6 coming with the original. And I said, it doesn't. If you look behind me, it throws the graphic off. And I did send a picture in, and got a like on Twitter. So those VHSs were useful once again.
Hey, speaking of Twitter and Instagram, all that shit, we have a Twitter page.
We do, and we've been pretty active on it lately.
Yeah, it's although I've seen there's so much liberal shit on there. I mean, like hardcore leftist crap. I'm like, how the
we haven't dialed in our feed yet because we haven't been very active on it, but it'll dial in. It can get extremely conservative quick. So what I try to do is vary the feed so you can see sort of what's being said. Like here's what they're saying, here's what we're saying, So I like to try to keep it in and as in the middle feed as possible on my personal account. But now that we've gotten very active on the Nothing's Off the Table account, it should start dialing in to more prescient news to comment on.
I think maybe it's because of the fact that we make comments on those types of posts.
That could be it too. Yeah.
I think, and that's why we're getting so much of it. But it's funny. Check it out. Nothing's Off the Table on Twitter or X or whatever the hell we're calling it nowadays. I don't freaking know.
Harry Sisson's a forward action guy.
So, since I brought that up, this dude Steve Inman is
Yes,
hilarious.
it's great. He's great.
He puts these videos up of a lot of different stuff, but he makes his own commentary on it, puts his sound effects in there, and
Yeah.
they're great, man.
Now I follow I on my personal account, I follow his account, and it's so interesting when he'll post a little bit about how he got on that kick. But apparently he used to commentate for UFC, and
No shit.
yeah.
Wow.
And then I could be paraphrasing. I got you. Hey, if you're listening, Steve, feel free to call in and correct the story.
That's right. Call in now.
But I thought I was pretty sure he posted one time that like it was during the pandemic, and he decided to leave. He was doing this on the side, but was getting a following, and decided to pursue it full time. But there's some other backstory that involves
Sure.
somebody saying something to him or something.
Mario, go look at your own tits.
Yeah, he ran and did it, and he's been doing great. So he says thanks to all of his followers all the time on a regular basis. I
check him out
frequently. Yeah, it's funny. It is funny stuff.
I went down
Funny stuff.
a rabbit hole one night just watching video after video, man. It's hilarious. And it's such a wide variety, It's like it's got like car crashes, fights,
the ludicrous cam.
Yeah, the ludicrous cam.
Boom, get out the way. And then he'll back it up and show the hit like 4 or 5 times as he's playing.
Oh my God.
That guy's got a talent, he's got an ear for it. I mean, he can do it,
Yeah,
he can do it.
I'm glad he's actually making a living out of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the content's free. Yeah.
And he's also on I think it's Rumble.
Yeah,
he has a page on Rumble. Yeah. No shit, neither's your face. Anyway, forget about
the comments up. I'm not reading.
That's your problem. One of your many problems.
Yeah.
Mario wanted me to show him my titties. I don't know what titties are, but
you should.
Miss you too, brother. Camp. Speaking of camp, that's just right around the corner.
Camp is around the corner. I'm excited. I got my rule book right here.
We are less than a month away.
I'm studying. Actually, I haven't even opened the softball book.
Yeah, throw that softball fucking thing away.
I love softball, man. I tell everybody, they're like, "Why do you want to become an umpire?" Because I want to do women's college softball. I love it.
Really?
I love it because I can see the ball, and I'll tell you what, as misogynistic as I am at heart, actually, my dad showed me the Queen in Her Court, and I fell in love with softball watching those ladies just tear people apart at the plate, like what they could do with that ball.
It's
and then
wild.
And then I was able to play, it was something I'm able to do as well. So I I'm not great, but that's why I like softball so much. And when I see those ladies play, they play hard. They're pitching hard. They're playing hard. I would love to be a part of that, watching that.
Some of them girls, they got guns too, man. They friggin' hit dingers for days.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like I feel openly. I feel comfortable saying I like the women's college softball because I'm not in the least bit attracted to any of these. I'm not attracted to women who can beat me up. I'm a misogynist. I'm a bully. I play on weak women, not women who are better than me.
Next thing you're going to tell me is you're going to identify as a woman and go play fucking women's softball.
No. I just want to, I would love to be a part of it, whatever.
Well, you're about to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? Well, we'll talk about all that shit at camp. But anyway, getting back to the Rumble and the Twitter, man.
So, before we move on, if I may, I just remember that, so the camp reached out to me and asked me how I'm getting there. Am I going to fly or drive? And I said, well, I'm going to drive. What time do you want me there? And I said, because I had talked one thing is I have to take. I mentioned I have something to do in the morning
Mhm.
that I can't get out of, and after that, then I can head straight there. But it probably wouldn't be till 11 or 12, if I were to go straight. And they were like, "Well, let me get back to you." And they got back to me within a day. Great, it was great. It was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, and a really to the point answer. And they were like, "Hey, they asked that you don't even come till 3." So I was like, "That's awesome." So I'm gonna do what I have to do in the morning. Come back here, take a hard nap, and
You're gonna need it.
then I'm gonna go to camp.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited, man. I look so forward to this time of year
Good
every
evening.
year. Good evening,
Yep.
sir. Um, so and you're gonna see, man. It's like everything else. You'll get out of it what you put into it. The instructions top notch. The bonds that you're gonna make are gonna be fucking amazing. And it's just
Well,
it's
I don't know
like
about the bonds I'm gonna make, but certainly the people who meet me,
right, right,
you
right.
guys are in for a treat.
I'm gonna start keeping a tally of how many times you're told shut the fuck up. Have my little wheel book with me.
Yeah, that is such a problem though. When you read so much, and I enjoy learning a little bit about everything, and when people are talking about it, I want to learn more, and I do jump in. I want to hear. I want to learn.
No, I don't believe you.
No, I'm just saying. Hey, speaking of Steve Inman in the UFC, do you remember that UFC fighter who was talking about that book?
Mm.
An Austrian perspective on theories of economies.
Yes.
Right, by von Mises and stuff, and he gives this whole rant. He just thing. So I went and I got that book, and and anyway,
Oh, look at that.
it is fascinating. It's going through all the economic theory, going through all of yeah, we'd love him to call. So it goes through all the economic theory, goes through all the churches and stuff. Right now, I'm in the 13th century, and it is just fascinating. They're talking about Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, all their thoughts on profit, how profit evolved, how the church viewed profit, and then so again, right now I'm in the 13th century, 14th century. So the church is evolving on profit. But that was what they're saying is this is all critical to where we are in economic theory, right? Is you have to understand all of this history. And right now, in the beginning of this economic theory coming out of ancient cultures and things with Rome and all that, and with when the Catholic Church started getting involved, it's fascinating. I did not realize how heavily religion influenced currency and the views of
Oh yeah,
communism.
dude. That's why I have a huge problem with organized religion.
Yeah,
I don't have any problem with faith. I don't have any problem. Believe who you want to believe in, whatever the case may be.
yeah.
But Jesse the Body Ventura said it best when he said, religion's a crutch for weak-minded people. I
you know, yeah.
it I believe that to a degree, not wholeheartedly, but
I understand. I understand what and I think intelligent people would understand what that comment means,
yeah, I would hope so anyway.
right? But yeah, what they were talking about was the church had this view, right, that or in the beginning, religion viewed profit as bad, right? All profit is bad, and then there was a discussion of, and they present both sides, right? There's this discussion of is private property a right? And then what defines a right, right? Is a right something other people can be compelled to give you, right? Was sort of these things um, that they were talking about. And so that had to be settled first. Is private property a right? And they said, and this is not settled. But you have people who say private property is, your right to have a space, to make your own and expect a certain amount of privacy and ability to rule over and govern, right? That's what they're talking about. When they say economy comes from the ancient Greek economist, which is head of house,
Hmm,
not how we think of economy. So
interesting.
as these principles are being adopted, these words mean different. And
Very
that's what they're pointing
interesting.
out is, so you may still have some people thinking economies head a house, whereas, we're over here talking about how the dollar and velocity affects, movement and stuff. But it's just interesting. So once they solve whether property's right or not, and they haven't, then they move on to, well, is profit good or bad? So in the beginning, profit's bad. Then, well, if you're factoring the cost of the object plus the cost of your time to get the object and make it unique, well, then maybe that profit's okay. Then, oh, well, maybe if you're doing it, and you're adding a little more because you have to care for your family because you are economist, the head of the household, and you're taking care of those things and you have to support your wife, then yeah, that profit is probably okay.
It's funny how incorrect translations or interpretations of different words affect things greatly. I mean, just the Bible is a prime example. Brian says we don't have private property; we have a timeshare. If you don't pay
He,
your taxes, maintenance
well,
fees, the government takes it away from you.
well, he's right, and you never do have the deed to your house either. You know that too, right?
Right,
You
but
never possess the deed to your house. The bank retains that. You can have a copy. You can have all the registered, certified copies you want, but the original deed will be retained on file at the bank.
so Brian, yeah, give us a call. Numbers are already posted in, but just in case you don't have it, it's my
Yeah.
phone number. That's a secret.
But it has been very interesting listening to this book. I'm glad that guy recommended it, and I'll tell you what, I recommend it to anyone else. Because like I said, they're going through all the writings, the Aristotle's, the Sartre. Then they were talking about one of Aristotle's greatest mentors. I don't know if it was Socrates or who it was, but they said he has nothing in writing. We only have what people who heard him talk interpreted say. So we really don't even know. Anything that they say comes from him is secondhand. He never wrote his own stuff.
Interesting.
So he says just people who listen to lectures.
Thanks to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I always screw up his name from here on out because I was so used to saying it as a joke.
Crates.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Crates.
So Crates. Yeah, that was a great movie. That was good. It was new. It was fun. It was like the Weekend at Bernie's type. That
Right.
kind of genre.
So, do you remember the movie, Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh, not really, because I saw it very late in life and extremely intoxicated. Like nothing, because I kept hearing that there was a very, very funny part, and it was hilarious at the drive-through.
Which part?
And then, no, and then.
Oh yeah.
And then, no, and then.
No more and then. But so this is a BC story. My previous marriage, I was really dumb and I had married into Insta family. Anyway, she had a young son that was, I think he was 3 or 4 at the time, and we went to see that movie in the theaters. And there's this one part of the movie where they got the chicks that are all in black, the all black leather or whatever, the quote unquote hot chicks, and I don't remember how the line goes, but something, between the two of them, they're like something about hot chicks. And I just remember that little boy looking over, and it was kind of I could see how it'd be a scary moment for a little kid. He's like, I don't like hot chicks. I guess we know which way you're going then, huh, buddy? But I never fucking forget that. It's crazy the dumb shit in your life.
Oh yeah, and and here's the other thing: the things that you latched onto about an event that the other people are like, huh? They've totally forgot until you brought it up. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't what was significant about that event to them. And then you ask them what was significant, and it's something you had completely forgotten. Be like, I didn't even pay attention to that. And it's how they talk about, right? Two people can watch the same car crash and have a completely different opinion.
Completely. It's funny. I'm gonna call you out, Brian. Brian just texted me because he's gonna call in here in a minute, and he put some other number in there. It's just the correct number, right? I'm like, no, it's the number you just texted. Had to call you out on that one. That was kind of funny. So anyway.
Yeah. No, see, so it's just interesting, I remember I was talking to I was at a range one time, right? And I was telling the story, and I ran into, we had a retirement for one of our members, and some of us who were able to get together, like a little mini reunion. I was talking to the captain, and I was like, hey, do you remember this? And he was like, oh my God. He was like, I had forgotten until that's right. Okay. So what did we do? So we were on the range, and I couldn't see if I was hitting my target with the pistol. So I got the range instructor. This was at a school, you know, and a more advanced school than what would normally the military would go to. So I was at this school, and the, the guy says, "Well, go look." And I said, "Well, they're shooting." And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, they have to stop." And he's like, all right. He's like, "Hold on, everybody stop, everybody stop, everybody stop, everybody stop. Gather around, gather around." He's like, "Listen, who here can't walk straight? Who here can't shoot their target? Okay. If you can't see where you're hitting and you need to check your target," he's like, "this is a flat range. There's nobody shooting at you. There's no stress. Walk down and go check. If you can't trust your buddy on the flat range to not shoot you in the back, what are you doing going in country, fellas? Okay, make a decision." And then he left. And he told the range master, whatever, you know, on the range, right? Whatever. And so we did. And I'll tell you what, when you walk, it's, you know, when you first do it, it is one. Now the lanes were wide. They were generous lanes. Okay. They weren't like, you know, we weren't packed in. Okay. I mean, they were pretty generous. I want to say, maybe 5-6 feet wide. Right. Okay. So you had a pretty good, they were well marked. Okay. They were pretty generous. Like I said, cause we're firing long guns and pistols and transitioning and stuff. But yeah, so I walk down, and, you know, it's 1 foot man, and you turn, and it's an about face, you know, and you're walking real straight, and you're like, well, you know, and yeah, we all talked about it after, man. It was a pucker factor, because that dog don't hunt on any range I've ever been on since.
It's kind of like that time I had to do that field sobriety. Never mind.
Yeah. But that dog don't hunt, man. And when I tell people that, I get the, oh no, I mean, he's right. But oh no, you can't do that anywhere else in the world. You know, he's right. And then you're like,
So
and it's the weirdest thing to hear. Hey, he's right, but we are never going to do that.
training with the units I've trained with and deployed with, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's just
funny.
You got to train how you fight.
And that's the guy's point. The guy's like, hey, there's no stress here, man. Like, wait till it gets crazy and everybody's shooting from every direction, you know? In fact, you know, this is true. I almost shot my team chief in our last gunfight. We talked about it after. He ran through my contact side. I just happened to reload.
Oh, shit.
I was firing over the hood of my truck. I happened to be reloading, and he came running by, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to take up another position, because apparently he's somebody's out there. Right. Yeah. Right. So I'm gonna move, you know, because he didn't see me. I'm sure he didn't. I know he didn't see me. When we talked about it later, I say, hey man, you know, I almost shot, because here's what we talked about, right? I was like, you know, I almost shot you. And he was like, did you? And I was like, yeah, you ran past my contact side. And he was like, did I? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I did, didn't I? I was like, yeah, you know, the worst thing is you probably had to blame me, because I was in the Navy. He's like, oh, you damn right I would have. You're damn right.
That's the truth.
You know, and that's the conversation we have after combat, right? If you want to know, right. You know, that's what we had after a gunfight. I was like, hey, you know, almost shot you. And he was like, yeah, and I'd have blamed you too, you know, even though it was my fault. You know?
Isn't it funny that I don't know if funny is the right word. It's kind of disturbing, the shit you find funny in a combat situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not good. Many terrible things happened that day. Make no mistake.
I believe it.
But, you know, one of the rays of light was, you know, like we were talking, you know, I was like, you know, and you know, if we're counting our blessings, right? That's how that story came out. And then we had that laugh and moved on about our lives. But, just, yeah, you're right. It's the humor is different. Things are different. You know, one thing I always tell people, and I'll say it again, not to go down like, you know, the veteran, you know, road show. But, you know, a lot of your veterans don't tell stories, not because they don't want to, right? They're probably dying to tell you some funny stuff or some weird stuff. It's just, they feel that you don't have a common frame of reference, and they're nervous that you might judge them.
And you wouldn't get it.
But yeah. But if you want to hear funny stories, or, you know, you got somebody you think is on the verge of telling you something, you know, just tell, hey man, you know, no judgment here, man. You can lay it on me. You know, I'd love to hear something funny or whatever. I know veterans would love to tell you they want to tell their story.
The other fear too is telling a story that you think's hilarious, and then just getting that fucking blank stare
That's what I'm
in
saying. The
return.
judgment. They're just worried they're going to tell
Well,
you
it's not
something,
even
and
the
yeah.
judgment so much as they just don't get it.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
I
you
yeah.
gotta be in those situations to find the humor in them, you
Well,
know?
well, and here's the other thing too. I will say this too, though. And we've you tell me I'm a good storyteller, right? But some people can't tell a story, man. It is
This
horrible,
is
man. You're
true.
like, oh my god, oh this is terrible.
I'm guilty of that.
Oh my god, man. I've had people, you know, so have you ever heard of Ranger TV? I've heard it
Yes.
described two ways, right? One way had me pissing my pants, and the other way had me like, oh my god, right? But basically, what'll happen is a group of bored ass Marines or Rangers, right? They call it Ranger TV. Whatever living animals they catch in the day, they put in the bug zapper at night and time it. Like it's this Ranger, like like I mean they're setting. I mean they got whole animal skeletons in these bug
Yeah.
zappers, man. You know, and like you hear the zapper, everybody's laughing, you smell the burning, you're like, what's going on, Ranger TV? And they're like, yeah, but anyway, like I said, like I've heard it described where I was like dying laughing, and then I've heard it described where I was like, you horrible human beings,
Go get the new PFC.
Yeah, where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe you're torturing mosquitoes like that, man.
Yeah, right. So, what I kind of wanted to talk about tonight a little bit, doesn't matter because you didn't watch any of it. But we talked about Skinwalker Ranch quite a bit.
We
There's a
do. I love it.
there's a spinoff of that, and it's called Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. So there's this dude out there. His name's Andy Bustamante. He's a prior, I don't remember what branch, prior military, but prior CIA officer. And so he's been on like all the podcast circuits lately, within the last couple years, and now he's got this show that he's on, and some other journalist dude I've never heard of. But anyway, they're going all over the place, man. They've gone out west. The guests that we had on a couple weeks back that talked about the
Yeah.
where was it, Arizona?
Brer or something.
Yeah, in Sedona. They talked about that place.
Yeah.
They're making connections between the ranch and these. It's obviously some of it's scripted, and I don't think it's as good as the original Skinwalker Ranch, but it's entertaining.
Have you seen the new season that's out? They were talking about. I haven't seen it yet, but I've been in the gas station. Spoiler alert! You have about 2.76 seconds to tune out, because I can't shut up. So, but did you hear about the bones
No.
in the latest season?
Mm-mm.
Got some kind of bone, man. So the guy, my gas station buddy at night, we talk about it. He keeps telling me I need to watch it, but I still haven't watched season 4. I still have
Oh,
not done that on Hulu.
you need to get hot.
I know I do, because he said the new stuff coming out, the new episodes. He said they got a bone of something, man. He's like, and they ran it down.
They don't know. Is it human? Is it
No,
animal? Is it
they know, and he said they ran it down. He said he's like, you need to watch.
is it
He
a
gave me just enough.
non-human entity?
Uh, I don't know, man. He said like it's an animal of some kind, something they haven't
Oh,
seen in but he said it's something they haven't seen in decades. Like it was written off, like, and it's back, and it's not like
is it back, or are these old bones that they found? You know,
no the
that
the
they just
like they found the thing, like he said they found it, like they cut it, like they like clubbed it, like like they caught it or something, like in one of the
oh,
episodes,
like a live creature.
like it stinks, like, or something, like they were complaining about it. Like, yeah, he said, like, you got to watch it. Like they caught it. Like
You're not
this.
saying Bigfoot, are you?
No. It's like some kind of animal, some kind of thing that they haven't seen in forever. Like they thought it was extinct or going extinct or
What's up, Christian? I think it's
Hulu.
Hulu for seasons 1 through 4, but I think was it no, not National Geographic. History Channel. History Channel for season 5.
Yeah.
Sasquatch.
I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't think it was any of that. But it was very interesting. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but my buddy,
So did he tell you or no?
No, because I haven't watched it, so he's mad, right? Because like I'm in that gas. So you guys got to know I'm in this gas station twice a day. I go in the morning and I have coffee with the local officer and the ex golf guy, and we shoot the breeze, and then I leave and I would come back and I'd get 2 Dr. Peppers for my evening gaming, and when I got the Dr. Peppers, I'd talk to the night guy, right? And he got me into Skinwalker Ranch. And so for like a year and a half, we were talking about it. But then I took a break because season 4 hadn't come out. And when it came out, I'd started other stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. But he's on me. He's giving me just enough. Like he's like, well, you gotta watch, like,
that's crap.
So I know. He won't tell me. But
if you're gonna spoil it, spoil it. I mean, come on.
He's the nicest, you know what? He's the nicest guy. He's so funny. Good guy. Every time my daughter comes in, he says like, "Hey, what's up, princess?" And I try to answer him. I'm like, "I'm good."
So yeah, there's only one season so far of Beyond Skinwalker Ranch, and it's like I said, it's okay. They blow some shit up, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That's what makes it interesting is the experiments, the science they're doing on the site.
Yeah, it's again, it's pretty obviously scripted. Go with your thoughts.
Mine on the show? I think they're okay. I mean, for the most part, the thing that I like about not so much, I understood what they were doing in Beyond. You like Skinwalker Ranch can only be filmed at certain points, right? Because it's so cold there. They can't have the equipment out. They can't do any experience. Can't do anything, right? So
hey,
go ahead.
I got to interrupt you. We have a caller on the line.
No,
we have a special guest. Mr. Spencer, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, we are talking silly stuff. That's what we're doing. I understand you have somebody with you.
I do. I have the mayor of Wentzville with me, Wentzville, Missouri. His name is Nick Guccione.
Well, Mr. Mayor, welcome to the show, sir.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I got to say, I don't know you, but you really need to do something about the company you keep. If you're hanging out with Spencer.
I know. We've been friends for a long time, and we did a lot of door walking and talking to people in the community for years. We're good friends.
I wouldn't tell too many people that. I mean, that's great. It's a wonderful story. Well, I got to be honest. Brian's a great dude.
He is. Yes.
I love every time he calls, he makes his comments. It's great, but I can't pay him too many compliments because, I don't need his head.
I already have a big head.
That's right. That's right. So, gentlemen.
But a big head means I have a big brain.
Okay. I want to tell you guys real quick, the coolest thing, and I don't think I told you this story, Mr. Spencer, when you were on with us, but I went to Andy's retirement, and I live in Allegheny County, right? Pandemic loving central, masked, shots, everything, right? Everything. If they could have put it in the drinking water, they'd have put it in the drinking water. If they could have showered us in the vaccine, we'd have showered in it, right? They loved it, masking and everything. I landed to go to Andy's retirement, and we stopped at a gas station, and I saw a sign that said, "Hey, at your own risk, man. Be an adult." And I thought, oh, America. And I just want to thank you two, for just, keeping the torch lit and showing someone from, communist, Allegheny, that there's still places in America.
So the mayor here, when all that scandemic was going on, the mayor basically let every shop make it their own decision. So if you wanted a mask, you could require a mask. If you didn't want a mask, that was strictly your shop, your business.
Yeah, we didn't close any businesses down or do any mandates at all. It was a personal choice, and people do whatever they decide to do at their own risk. But I think the government was not stepping in on something like that.
Yeah, that's America. You're right. Choice. One thing I do comment, and I'll let you guys comment on it. But the one thing I say, is it's not just the military that writes a blank check for freedom. Everyone does. Everyone writes a blank check for freedom. Freedom is, is dangerous.
It sure is. And a lot of people mistake freedom for security.
Right.
Well, you can't have one without the other. So if you take security, you lose freedom.
There you go. That's kind of my whole point. Anyway, Mr. Mayor, I've noticed a lot of construction going on in Wentzville.
Yes, there's a lot of development going on, and we hear from people all the time that stop the growth, slow it down. But I believe that property rights. So if somebody buys a land from a farmer who bought land years ago really cheap, and now that's his retirement, and he sells it, the person who buys it has the right under the Constitution, under the Fifth Amendment, to develop it under its highest and best use. So as long as they're meeting all the state, city codes and guidelines, and we have the infrastructure in place, and we work with them, I mean, they have a right to develop. So Wentzville is a very popular place to be, and a lot of people like the amenities we have in the Wentzville. And there's some that like that, the small town feel, which we still have.
Oh, definitely. With old downtown Wentzville, I love going out there. I really wish I had a much more intelligent follow-up question, but I don't.
We do got Wentzville Days coming up.
Yeah, it's next weekend. Wentzville Days. It's a good time.
It's got
for everybody to get together.
We having is there a parade during Wentzville Days? I don't remember.
No, we don't. We have a 4th of July parade, but not for Wentzville Days. We tried to get one going several years back, but it never materialized. But we do have a good turnout on 4th of July.
So if you'd like to talk with the mayor personally, and they don't want to call in or anything like that, the mayor's going to be working and volunteering at the Wentzville Days, and you're going to be at which booth?
I'll be at the Historical Society booth, and they're welcome to come talk to me. Plus, I have coffee talk, which every day. You just set up a time and call my city clerk, and come up to my office and talk about anything, what you don't like in the city, what you do like. If you don't like me or whatever the case may be, we'll talk about it, see how we can, share ideals and work together, make our community better.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if Brian warned you of the type of show that you were coming on to tonight, so I'm trying very hard to behave, and it's actually physically painful, to be honest. But
the show's called Nothing's Off the Table.
Nothing's off the table. Yeah, that's what he told me.
So I do have we have individuals that watch the show that are well, I can't sugarcoat it, smart asses, and say some things. And one of the gentlemen in the room this evening wanted me to ask you to bring the old drag strip back.
Oh, that's gone. Yeah, that's not coming back. When that was there, I just moved kind of into Wentzville when that happened, when it was eliminated. But there was a lot of people complaining about the noise and all that. I went to the drag strip once, I think, when I lived in North County, came out here for it. But yeah, it's gone. I don't think there'll be another thing.
Well, the problem is they sold it to a developer,
right?
And they built a subdivision on it. So I mean, it was strictly the person who owned the drag strip's choice, because they were pretty far outside of town whenever they decided to close.
So we have the ride run on January. I'm sorry, not January. June. The first Friday of June.
Oh, first Friday in June.
And then August, first Friday of August, which is similar.
That's on Mother's Day.
On the radio.
So I do have a question for you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like your thoughts on eminent domain.
I'm not really a fan of eminent domain. I don't believe in taking people's property unless there's a big, huge need, public benefit, safety concern. And at that time, I think it's time to negotiate with that property owner. I personally have never put my signature on that I recall on any eminent domain or demanding to take people's property.
Yeah, eminent domain should be one of the rarest things that a government should do, and that should be only in the extreme
yeah, absolutely.
Emergency necessary for the general population.
And I don't know if you know how our government works. We're a 4th class city, and the mayor doesn't get a vote on pretty much anything. I run a day-to-day operations of the city. I oversee the budget. The board sets policy, and the board of aldermen, I have 6 aldermen. They set policy, and they pass ordinances. I have to implement them. So if something would come like that, they would make that decision. I wouldn't have any say-so unless it was a tie vote, 3-3. Then I would have a vote. It's rare. In 17 years, I've had, I think, 4 tie votes that I broke.
So then,
really rare I get a vote.
So then I think we would agree, or would I be far off by saying, minus we're not going to take your house for a shopping mall. It would have to be. It would have to be like, hey, this is Tornado Alley, man. We can't let you build here.
Right.
It would be worse than that.
Weird,
I mean, it would be the bottleneck on Highway 70, and actually it wouldn't be the mayor; it'd be MoDOT doing that. But if there was a huge bottleneck and there's crashes all the time, they need to take your property in order to widen the lanes or solve something.
Right. But we're not doing it for a shopping mall. People can rest assured they're not going to get moved for a shopping mall or some ridiculous.
No.
Right. Yep.
So I did come up with another question that seems to be a hot topic around my neighborhood right now, and that's the intersection of N and Duello. That's just a huge potential for accidents, in my opinion. It's scary going up there.
Yeah, I know MoDOT has done a study and then to do some improvements, and it's been like a year and a half, 2 years, and they do have some improvements coming. I don't have that document in front of me, but we are doing Highway Z from Interstate to Perry Cape improvements, and that's not even our road. That's a MoDOT, but we partnered with them. We put some money in the budget, so did the county road board and Eastway Gateway to get that moved up sooner than later. So we're doing improvements to Highway Z, and hopefully we can coordinate that with N and get those improvements to coordinate together at some point.
So, in my understanding, is that there is going within like 2 years, there's going to be a stoplight there at Duello and Highway N.
Excellent.
But it's like 2 to 3 years away. I mean, they got to finish one project before they start the next.
No, I completely understand. I just, I've been asked that question a lot. I don't know why people ask me. I'm nobody, but so I figured I would. I'm sorry.
I would recommend them going to MoDOT's website and put in concern. The more people to do, the more that it gets expedited when they hear from the citizens.
Well, that's a great idea.
Might move it up.
I'd rather bitch around the water cooler.
Right. Yeah, and we do that. We work with MoDOT. Whenever I get a concern, I send it to MoDOT, to my area engineer. We actually just had a town hall with MoDOT a couple of weeks ago about all the improvements and the adding the lane to 70 and all that stuff. So there's a lot of questions there. And then we have $75 million in Wentzville that's funded and budgeted over the next 5 years for transportation improvements. So you're going to see a lot of construction and transportation projects in Wentzville.
Wow, that's great. I grew up in West County, and when I retired, or I came back to the area after a couple decades, I realized that West County was not where I wanted to be. So as a kid growing up, I never came out this way, but I've found since we moved here that I really love it. It's just you've got everything that you need, but you still have that kind of small town feel, and it's perfect for me.
Well, that's because you knew I was out here. That's what
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Holy smokes. Anyway, there is a statement in the room that I wanted to read to you because I think it's important. One of the gentlemen says he went out to that drag strip as a kid. Good memories. He wanted me to tell you that, just bounced on me. He wanted me to tell you that he really appreciates Wentzville, or that tell the mayor appreciate Wentzville's support in keeping interstate work union. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming you do.
Keep interstate what?
The interstate work is all MoDOT.
Oh, MoDOT's work.
And it's like 95% union.
Yeah. A lot of our public projects are union. We actually give a point system to local contractors whenever we have a public project like City Hall, Rec Center, Public Works building, stuff like that, to get local preference for contractors to keep it within St. Charles County. And if we can't find the right contractor, then we expand out towards the Kansas City area. We try to keep as much as we can local, keep our dollars moving around in Wentzville.
That makes sense to me. I have no dog in the fight. I'm neither pro nor against unions. I don't know anything about them. So,
well, there's some really good unions out there and that represent their members. And there are a few bad unions that represent the entity and not necessarily the members. So, I mean, there's good and bad in every category. There's a lot of great unions out there, and there's a few bad ones. So that's in every category.
I spent 45 years in a union, meat cutters union. So I've always had a union background, but we can't force or private projects to do the projects union. Now we can we have prevailing wage, so we do try to keep our public projects as close as we can union. But we have prevailing wage either way, and so do private projects as well.
And right now, all the projects that have been done in the last 10 years were 95% done with union labor. The only exception would be if we have a mom and pop shop that specializes. I'm going to just use an example in door handles or whatever. And so they would give preference to a mom and pop shop that is local. But like I said, 95% of all the public projects here are union.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. And I don't know if you can talk about this or not, but the sudden abdication of the Wentzville School District superintendent, could you speak to that at all, or is that something we don't want to talk about?
Well, no, I honestly I can't. I have a good relationship with Dr. Kane, who was here superintendent, and he went to Rockwood. And but this superintendent here, I didn't know her that well. Met her a couple times and attended a Rotary Club with her. But I don't know the particulars of what was going on there. I think some different board change, and maybe whatever happened, I don't know. But I do watch the meetings, but I don't know the particulars about why she left and what happened. I mean, it's still kind of all kept quiet.
Yeah. So the problem with most people, they see that it's the Wentzville School District, and they automatically assume that the mayor is in charge, which he's not. The school districts, the fire districts, the ambulance district, library district, they are all individual, autonomous, whatever the word I'm looking for, can't talk, but they're all their own entity. And so the mayor doesn't have any control over the library, the ambulance, the school board. He has no influence, no voice at all, than what voice that we have.
I understand that, but people talk is all I'm saying. I just didn't know if he heard anything. That's all. He
needs to seize power.
and I do have a good relationship with most of the school board members, but I don't repeat anything unless it's facts. I don't want rumors or nothing like that. Yeah. If it's a fact, then I would say it, but I don't know anything because I've heard different portions of what happened, but it's not verified. So whether it's spread, I'm sure the truth will come out eventually. But while we're on there, I would like to talk about taxes because Wentzville always gets blamed for the highest tax rate, but we have not raised taxes in 17 years in my administration, not one time. We've actually reduced real estate tax 7 times incrementally. But the other entities have had tax increases based on the vote of the people. The school district is the biggest tax in either, and then you got the fire, the ambulance, the county road board raised the road and bridge tax 3 cents about a year ago. And the library district, the community college, if they Google their taxes, they see this Wentzville gets a very small portion. And we've tried to work within our budget. We built a new $15 million city hall, and we didn't borrow money. We didn't bond it out. We saved for it. And I planned that when I first got elected to plan it out. We paid cash. So there was no debt to the citizens. And we combined 5 buildings into one, which was a big cost savings. And we got out of those other buildings was costing the citizens a lot of money to operate out of all those buildings. So, and we just built a new public works building that's under construction. It's almost finished. And that was bonded, but no tax increase. So we try to be physically conservative and not, tax our residents, but everybody else does. And then we get blamed when their taxes are high.
Yeah.
And then the assessed values went up. Property values have increased tremendously. So that raised their taxes. And so I heard a lot about the people from that. Why my taxes went up? Well, your property's worth probably 1.5 times, or at least half times of what you paid for it, 10 years ago. So
in other words, all these separate political entities keep putting stuff on the ballot, and the people need to vote no. They continue to buy the song and dance of all these different political entities whenever they put a tax initiative on the ballot. It's not Wentzville. It's the individual political districts like the ambulance and fire and library and so forth and so forth. And people keep voting yes. So if they're going to complain about their taxes, they need to blame themselves because one, they didn't show up to vote no, or they voted yes, and now that they have buyer's remorse, they're going to complain about how much their taxes is when they approved it to begin with. So they need to start voting no.
But I will say I do support the first responders. Actually, I'm on an ambulance district advisory board. So if there's a need, I will support the ambulance and fire district first responders because they don't ask for something unless they need it. But that's just me.
Well, that's why Brian comes along because he dumbs it down for us. Thank you, Brian. Lou, you had a tax question. Is that correct?
I do. I do. So here's something that I've sort of been on, it's a question I have. I think we should be posing to the side that's pushing the green agenda, right? When you look at all cars going electric by 2035 and some of these other goals that have been set by administrations, right? When dealing with taxes, what is the plan? What are you hearing is the plan to make up for the lack of gas tax?
Well, there's not a lack of gas tax. Right now, I voted no when I was in the Missouri House several times on every one of them. But eventually, there was a 2-cent per year up to 12 cents that was passed by the General Assembly to put it on the ballot. And once again, the voters voted yes for it. And so we're at 6 cents now. So October 1st, we'll get another 2 cents. So we'll be at 8 cents per gallon, but eventually it's going to be up to 12 cents as time goes by. So we have that. And then if you do have an electric car, when you get your plates, you have to buy an electric car, and they estimate the amount of gallons of gasoline taxes that you would pay if you bought gasoline, and that sticker for your car based upon your mileage is what you have to pay for that sticker for the electric car.
Okay. So when the gas goes, if this were 2035, right? Because see, I think this is a winning conversation to force the other side to explain to people that whether you buy an electric car or not, your rates are going up. You will subsidize this. When this gas tax goes away, we will raise all your rates. We're not going to go without.
So when you buy your electric car,
yeah,
they have on records every time you get your new plates, you have to put your speedometer miles on there or your odometer miles. So they know how many, on average, from the last 3 times you got your plate, how many miles you drive per year. So when you buy an electric car this year, they'll take that average and they will calculate the amount of taxes you would have paid if you bought gas. And you have to buy that electric car sticker for that amount. So that's how they will get the gas tax out of you if you have an electric car.
Okay, and I'm assuming that's going to be in addition to raising everyone's rates in 2035. Like that's happening now. That gas sticker you're talking about.
That's happening now in the state of Missouri, and it will continue if we. And
I believe
even though the Missouri General Assembly voted no to the Green Initiative 3030 plan or 2030 plan, the federal government has a way of tying federal money with strings on it.
I agree with you, and I think more people need to be aware of this. More people need to know. Hey, just so you know, carbon dioxide is 0.03% of the atmosphere. And we're responsible for 3% of that. So we're responsible for 0.0000 of 0.03%. And they want you to live like a caveman, take all your money and restrict your movement for 0.03% of the atmosphere.
And whenever our carbon monoxide or dioxide is higher, our planet is actually greener.
0.03% is what makes up the atmosphere. 0.03%. You can ask your Echo device; it will tell you. And I'm just saying, my daughter and I, she's 10. We had a very long conversation and a whole lot of fun with Amazon Echo, and we learned a lot about what Greenpeace is really about.
Well, there's no amount. I mean, all this green initiative. There's no amount of money that you can pay that's going to change the weather.
Nope.
They can't. You know, Michael Schellenberg in his book asks the best question at the end. We've spent trillions. Name one country that's improved.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, you got it. It's a global thing, you know. For something like this, it would have to be everybody on board, or it's not going to work. It's clear. It's just.
So it's not going to work anyway.
Right.
It's all
exactly.
follow the money. It's
So
all money driven.
That's
all
my
follow the money.
point.
But I'll tell you what, guys. I really think you have a winner there. I did not know about that stamp, and I'll be promoting that because that's the thing that gets people to stop and say, "Hey, wait a minute. You know, you're gonna come. You're gonna hit my pocketbook. Okay, because 2035 is not far away." You know, and people are getting, you know, people, because I don't have an electric car, right? I'm middle class, I'm middle income. I didn't know about that. I guarantee you, my neighbors don't. The ones who don't own those electric cars.
Well, the government collects their money one way or another. Correct. You know, even though I was in Florida for a year, and Florida doesn't have a state income tax, they do not have a personal property tax. Let me tell you, Florida collects taxes, and they're not hurting. And so the government will get your money one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
They just
name it differently.
Yeah, they just name it differently.
Right.
But I will say, not paying personal property taxes and state income tax for a year, that was so nice. I'm not going to lie.
It's very nice.
I'll tell you what, you know, people ask all the time, what's one thing you would do to change the world? And I'll tell you, I stole this from somebody, but the one thing I would do to change the world is I would get rid of income tax paycheck withholding. I would make Americans write a check every month.
I love that.
So if I was in charge of that category, I'd get rid of corporate taxes. I'd get rid of death tax, capital gains tax. I'd get a personal property income, and I would implement a nationwide, not flat, fair tax. Mm-hmm. So the more you spend, the more you're going to pay.
Just a retail sales?
It would just be for new stuff.
Yeah. You're very correct.
If you buy a new car, there is no tax. I mean, if you buy a used car, there is no taxes because the taxes are already paid.
Right.
But if you buy a new car, you're going to pay the fair tax. If you go to Goodwill or a thrift store and you buy something, there's no taxes. Taxes have already been paid. But if you go buy a new goods or a new service, then you would pay taxes.
Fair and flat tax are very, very different. You know, people think a flat tax is the only tax you'd pay under a flat tax system. No, that's one tax is flat.
No,
other taxes will be added.
If you did a flat tax, the people who don't pay income taxes now won't pay them then.
But if you,
and you would still need the IRS,
right?
The IRS would not be targeting individuals. They would be targeting businesses and entities that sell goods and services.
So, a fair tax would be more.
I think fair tax is a better description and a better system. The other thing is I forget who they caught in the hallway of Congress when they talked about the flat tax. Like, hey, isn't it true you'd have to increase these other additional gains taxes in order to make it, you know, what you need it to be? And they were like, yeah.
So the fair tax actually hurts the poor. The flat tax hurts the poor.
Right.
The poor. The fair tax helps the poor because it basically comes down. You spend more money, you pay more money in taxes.
Right.
You don't have as much to spend, you don't pay as much. And you can avoid taxes altogether if you bought everything used.
Correct.
That's true.
I had a friend that just came up with a system. I'm sorry, and he just I know we're getting close to the end. I'm sorry, guys, but you know he came up with an idea that was so phenomenal, and he said it would only work under AI, but he thinks all government work should be open source and you register as a vendor. So if I'm good at hospital management and billing, if there's a whole bunch of records that need coding, it's all on system. I log in, I pick what I want, I get paid as I do it.
Yeah.
Giant
AI will take
admin.
care of that as well.
Well, yeah, we were saying it was a nice open system and a nice way of doing it. I thought, what an interesting way to explore opening up the government so everybody sees what's there. And then everybody has a chance to work and earn money. You don't have to have it for free, you don't have to really can eliminate a lot of the welfare state.
Yeah, I find it funny that all these science fiction movies are actually becoming a reality. The iRobot and all the stuff that's come out. There's several on Netflix now that deals with AI type of robots. Some of it's pretty scary.
Yeah,
Idiocracy's happening as we speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a dumb movie, but it's more true and true every day. Gentlemen, I just want to thank you for coming on and talking about the awesome issues that we talked about. I learned a lot. I can't remember any of it, but I mean, I learned a lot. It was fun. I really appreciate it. Any parting words?
Awesome.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Absolutely. Same.
And even though I call you a mother sometimes, you're not included in that last statement.
Hurtful.
Yeah.
Very, very hurtful. Gentlemen, thanks so much for calling in, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Lou, wow, we're over an hour. What do you say we'll wrap it up?
I'm game, Andy. I'm game.
You're gay? I appreciate you coming out. That's
mispronounced,
cool. I mean,
right?
I don't judge or anything. But
I worked with a guy every year. He would every year he would make a coming out. He was gay. He was one of the obnoxious gay people. Like he's like, every year I make a coming out of the closet video on National Coming Out Day, and he would make me watch it. But we were friends. He's my friend. He's a great friend. That's why I tell he's one of the annoying ones. I'll tell him to his face. You're annoying. You're one of the annoying ones, right?
Right. Fabulous.
I have to watch it every year. I have to watch his coming out, and it's different closets. Some are funny. Some are like, it's repeatish.
Hey, I have a confession. I don't remember if I uploaded the new outro or not. I guess we'll find out here in a second. Anyway, any parting words, sir?
No, gentlemen. Oh, check out Veterans Breakfast Club. That's veteransbreakfastclub.com. Check them out. They have a lot of online programs. Plus, they also do local breakfasts. Every veteran has a story. Go there and support. Tell your story. You can check them out. Veterans Breakfast Club at veteransbreakfastclub.com.
Damn, that sounds like a radio promo. Anyway, bye, everybody.
You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table with Andy and Lou, an Admiral Media production podcast. All information at the time of recording is mostly accurate. Comment below, give 5 stars, all rights reserved. See you next week.